With us now to talk about what cities and towns want from the new administration of Ned Lamont, we are joined by three local leaders. Sandra Pirog is the Democrat. She is the first selectman of Bolton. Steve Everett is the first selectman of the town of Columbia. And Ellen Zabu-Sasu is the mayor of Bristol. We thank you all for being here with us today. And I did use the term selectman because it's not select woman.
That is correct.
Correct? At least not yet, right?
The selectman has been in our charter for years and years, and I hope it stays there.
And that's the way it is. Okay. All right. We'll begin with Mayor Zabu-Sasu. What is your message to Ned Lamont for what cities and towns, particularly your relatively large city, what you'd like from the next administration?
We've talked about the importance of the budget and jobs, both of which are high on the agenda for the Lamont-Bysewitz administration. So far I've been pleased with what I've been hearing in terms of what their priorities are.
And as a Republican, how do you feel about this? What would you like to tell Governor Lamont? What needs to be done next year for cities and towns?
Well, I think to put out your agenda and stay the course, get input from the people who you surround yourself with. I would have liked to have seen a couple of more business people on his, like Steve Obsitnik and Mike Handler, who ran for the congressional seat.
On his transition team, you're saying?
On his transition team. I thought they had some very good things how to help grow. And this is going to be a whole community type of work. Everybody's going to be involved in this to get this state on the correct path. So I believe that he's got a lot of work to do. Stay the course, be strong, and work with us.
The Fiscal Stability Commission is recommending cutting $1 billion from spending. If Governor Lamont should say to you, Sandra, we need to cut some money to city and town budgets, what would you tell him, in terms of the money that they get?
I would tell him before he does that, he needs to look at what it is the state is requiring the towns to do and perhaps step back on some of those unfunded mandates. Special education is a huge cost to each individual small town, and it gets worse and worse, not better and better.
Because the governor, elect has said that everyone is going to have to chip in, everyone's going to have to make sacrifices. What sacrifices could Bristol make if they had to from the state? And if he said, listen, we need to cut back what we give you.
We've already tried to protect ourselves by being regional partners with the smaller towns that surround us, trying to anticipate what some of these issues may be. But honestly, with the past few budgets, we've cut to the bone wherever we can. And Selectwoman Pirog's right, excess cost share for education. We had, a huge deficit with our Board of Education last year that the city side has to come in and cover. So something has to give with some of these regulatory pieces, and I think if they're going to address spending, they also have to address the regulatory mandates.
In terms of beefing up revenue, Governor said he'd like to get some more revenue coming in, and one of those potential things is marijuana. How do you feel about that?
Well, I got to tell you, I would look into what other states, the history that's going on with there. First of all, I would reach out to Colorado. They've had it the longest. Let's see what the problems that they've had. The good part about it is the money, but selling marijuana or making it legal just for the money, it's not the answer. But you reach out to them. Our neighbor at the north, Massachusetts, has just legalized it in the first month, their first week of sales, $2 million. Let's take a look at what they're experiencing up there and learn from it. So, but I'm legalizing it, I'm not sure.
What do you think, Selectman Pirog? If it's a moneymaker for the state?
I have a little bit of a moral question with legalizing marijuana. However, I do know that you can walk down to the street corner and get it, so why not tax it?
Would you want a dispensary in Bristol?
We have one, and
well, for legal, for
right.
recreational.
Formerly, I was with the Connecticut Pharmacists Association before being elected, and honestly, Connecticut has model legislation that other states are already looking at. We have to look at it in terms of how that's regulated, and I personally think the Department of Consumer Protection has done a phenomenal job with this. But we also have to look at the revenue piece. I know that there are people crossing borders that can now buy it legally in other states. The other piece of this is our opioid addiction problem, and if I can be assured that someone who might need it either for medical reasons or for recreational use is not buying off the street where it could potentially be laced with fentanyl or other types of issues and then cause additional medical issues, it's worth looking into, especially from a revenue stream, because somebody's going to be making money off of this. And if it's all the states around us, where does that leave Connecticut?
None of you are from border towns, yet tolls could go anywhere in the state under one of the proposals. Selectman Everett, do you support tolls for our state?
No, I do not. No, I
in
do
any
not.
fashion.
Well, if they had the correct formula to put them on the state, the highways, exiting, entering the state, I guess I would take a quick look at that.
So just border tolls.
Correct, because otherwise, in the congested areas or high traffic periods of the day, you're taking money out of the pockets of the people that are going to work. And when you take more money out of their pockets, they have less to spend at the end of the week. And that affects different businesses throughout the whole community. So I am not in favor of tolls in the, except maybe at the border.
Selectman Pirog?
My husband would disagree with me, but I am in favor of local tolls. I regularly travel from Bolton to Brantford via I-91 and I-95. There are a tremendous number of out-of-state vehicles who are transiting our state, using our highways, and not even stopping, because you can easily make it from New York to Rhode Island without a stop. So they're not contributing to our gas tax, they're not contributing to our sales tax. So I think a toll is appropriate. However, I don't want to see it on every road, and I think there should be a discount similar to what is in Massachusetts for local residents.
Mayor Zaposasu?
I think that this needs to be part of some of the regional discussions that we all need to have. We have big discussions in central Connecticut about how to support Hartford, which we have many, many hundreds of people commuting to and from
Bristol to Hartford
for jobs. Mm-hmm. I think that based on our fiscal situation, it's time to have these larger discussions about how we can all support each other. And I also think transportation infrastructure is a key ingredient in attracting jobs and businesses to Connecticut.
The two of you who run smaller towns, are you under pressure to regionalize it all and maybe share services with your neighbors? Because, does it make sense?
We share.
We share.
You two already share.
Yes.
And we don't, that's another thing for Governor-elect Lamont. Do your best to stay out of trying to govern our small communities. We do a pretty good job. We share services with surrounding areas. Well, run the state. Run the state. We can run our communities. We share services with other towns for DPW. We share it for education. We send our children to different high schools. We give a choice, and we pay them to provide education for our kids. We do regionalization without being mandated to do it, and it's very successful.
We thank you both. We are out of time, but we thank you all for being over there. Sandra Pirog from Bolton, Steve Everett from Columbia, Ellen Zaposasu from Bristol. Best of luck in 2019. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching today. Stay tuned for some great football right here on Channel 3. Enjoy your Sunday, everybody.